Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my video today where I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on every main rider suit from the Heisei era to the Reiwa era, meaning starting from Kuuga all the way to Geats. Now this is in honor of both, if you didn't know, I am bringing rider content back to the channel more regularly with the next year's series, and I said that before that there's going to be a bit of a preamble with a couple planned rider videos. It's kind of a sneak preview for more rider content coming back to the channel. I've recently been doing videos where I've gone over my thoughts on Sentai and Ranger suits, and I'm going to be continuing that series into other things involved with Sentai and Power Rangers. However, I thought it would be a good time to branch out into Rider since I'm bringing content back. Not to mention, as of this recording, we're not that far away from seeing our next Rider again. Who knows, by the time this uploads, we could have already seen Gothic or whatever his name is, because I record these sometimes in advance, so I have them ready. But regardless, it's going to be happening around the time we get our new rider, so it's a good time to take a look back at all of our main suits and see my thoughts on them. Now, if this video does well and people seem to enjoy it, I will continue to branch out doing videos like this for Rider. Let me know if you'd like to see that. What would you want to see? Do you want to see Showa suits? Do you want me to go over the Showa suits, secondary riders, you know, final forms, all that stuff? But without further ado, we're like 1 minute and 10 seconds in and I haven't talked about a single suit. So let's get started with Kuuga. So we start off with a couple of more classic grounded suits. And I'm going to be talking about this or re-referencing this multiple times in this video, but I find it interesting that every time that there's a refresh, like a tentpole, like Kuuga bringing Rider back, and then later with Double and 01, they always kind of go back to basics, kind of looking at that core Rider design that started with Ichigo, and putting their own spin on it, and they all do it in a different way, very successfully and fascinatingly different in my opinion. For Kuuga, I think it was very well done. It was very much like, let's take the core aesthetics of Kamen Rider and update it for the modern times, for the year 2000, and it works perfectly. Like, for me, Kuuga doesn't seem dated at all. I guess when I really think about the fact that it's the year 2000, it seems kind of dated if you're psychologically thinking of it that way and you think about how crazy Rider's gotten in recent years, but it doesn't feel like a dated suit. Like, you know what I mean? Something even like Live Man. Live Man feels like something that could be announced today, but also feels retro. Or even something like Kamen Rider Mach, where it feels more purposely retro. This just feels like it holds up. I mean, sometimes the footage might not hold up, but the general suit holds up, and I think it's a slick, well-designed take on like literally modern Rider. It's well done, it's simple, and not over-designed. And then Agito is the next one to do a more simple design, kind of starting off a little bit more grounded, kind of an extension of what Kuuga did. I've always liked Agito. Again, simple, not over-designed, a bit elegant. It's easy to forget it's also based off of a dragon. It's not one of my top favorites, but it's definitely one of my more favored ones for the more grounded suits that I really like. The more grounded form suits. Okay, now we have Ryuki. I really do like Ryuki. I find like the neck down from the suit to be rather boring. You know, there's not a lot going on there, and I like other suits in the Ryuki ecosystem more, but I do like the base design of like the helmet and stuff. I think this is where we started to see them experimenting with the idea of like, we can move away from the core Rider design but keep like tenets of it. Like, I love the idea of the compound eyes beneath the visor. I think that was really cool, where it made him look like a Kamen Rider but also started to branch out into something unique. I do like the suit for the uniqueness, but there's just other I like more, both beyond this and further series, and in Ryuki itself. Fights is a suit I appreciate. Not a personal favorite, but I really do like how unique it is, combining sort of the shark motif with this very futuristic, alien-esque feel to it. It's got a really unique vibe. The light piping in it also makes it stand out in night scenes, which is really cool. Again, not a personal favorite, but it's one I have a lot of appreciation for. Now, despite the fact that Blade's one of my favorite series, I have to admit it's one of the more boring suits. I feel the same way about this suit as I do about like the Lightspeed Rescue suits, where I don't hate them, but I don't love them. They're just kind of in the middle, and I'm like, yeah, they're decently designed suits that fit the purpose and theme, and I like them for what they are, but it's a little bit boring. Hibiki, on the other hand, I really like Hibiki's suit. I like Hibiki's suit a lot. I think it's really unique, really badass looking, kind of elegant looking, and I love the purple color. It stands out as unique, and the way the cinematography in Hibiki's shot, especially in the first half, really makes it literally shine. It's interesting to think back on Hibiki. You know, I stay out of a lot of the corners of the Toku community nowadays, so I don't know what the consensus is, but I think Hibiki has always been an overlooked series. It was especially kind of like the black sheep of the franchise when I got back into the franchise way back during Kiva, and it was because it was so different, and I don't remember how much was true about this series supposedly not starting out as a Toku series. From what I remember, just elements of a different Toku series that were pitched were incorporated into it. I don't know. Regardless he's a little bit more unconventional looking, however, he's a lot more grounded and quote-unquote traditional looking compared to some of the more modern designs we get. And I just find that interesting because I remember seeing a lot of people saying he didn't look like a Rider back when I was getting into the franchise around the period of Kiva, Decade, double. And nowadays we have some really way more off-the-wall designs than Hibiki, and I think that's interesting for context. Bottom line is, I love Hibiki. Borg! Blast! I love me some Kabuto. Kabuto is an all-time favorite design because, unironically, I'm a big Bad Beetleborgs fan. I've always loved the designs of those suits. I guess these were designed by the same guy. It makes sense. The idea that it looks like a modern Beetleborg, especially him and Gothic, is great. So I automatically love them. The masked forms, I know this is sort of going into another type of form, aren't always my favorite, but I do appreciate the idea of them. But the base suit is a slick modern Beetleborg, and again, I would unironically love a Big Bad Beetleborgs sequel reimagining with this. I remember like photoshopping an image of the Beetleborgs logo on Kabuto, and like the purist would lose it. Like I would love to see it, and I would love to see the purist lose it. Den-O. Den-O is a well-designed suit that I really like. I think in particular I appreciate the way they incorporate the peach into the visor for the Momotaro element, and it's a very slick, well-designed suit that incorporates that theme as well as the train theme with the way it slides down and everything. I just overall really like Den-O. I don't have a lot to add, just to say what I said. Kiva. Absolute all-time favorite. I think I have 3 suits that are my top 3 that I have a hard time deciding what they are, and this is one of them. This is one of the suit that's partially why I got into Kamen Rider, because I got into Sentai with Geki Ranger, and so I was lurking around the community, and I was circling Rider for a while. I remember watching a bunch of clips of Den-O and Kabuto, window shopping some Shochaku henshins. Only real veterans know what Shochaku henshins were, you know, the figures. And I was window shopping. I'm like, I don't know, like, I liked Masked Rider when I was younger. You know, it seems like a lot of Sentai fans are into this. This looks cool. And then one day I popped onto Ranger Board, and the new thread popped up for, like, New Rider announced Kiva, and I clicked on it, and I saw the first photo. I'm hoping in my image gathering for this video I can find the photo I first saw, because I can distinctly remember it in my head, and I'm like, yes. Because if you didn't know this about me, I'm a big paranormal fan, you know, horror movie fan type of stuff, so this instantly clicked with me, based on the theme alone, but it's one of the most badass looking suits. Instantly got me into it, made Kiva my first rider, and even setting aside that the series is my first rider series, I do just love the suit still, and my love for the suit holds up. Decade. I like the Decade suit. Not a personal favorite, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it for being unique, and it fits the vibe and the theme of the show, and kind of the fact that the barcode aspect is kind of like he's a template. And I like the fact that it's a very unconventional looking pink suit that somehow conveys, at least in my opinion, the badass personality of Tsukasa. So yeah, I like Decade. Double. Double is that second tentpole I was talking about in regards to every time there's sort of a refresh, we look back to the classic design and reimagine it. Where Kuuga reimagined it for the modern times, I think Double's idea was sort of to do a modern retro throwback, similar to Mach, where it's kind of designed where it's meant to lean more towards as if it was designed back then, but with like modern advancements in the way the suit looks. And I think it's very successful at that. It's not a personal favorite, but I do really like it a lot. I think it's very effective, and I think the Double idea of the color scheme creates a really unique look and a really unique gimmick for the other suits and how they look and the patterns you can create. I really love the O suit a lot. I think it's really unique, very colorful, but it doesn't feel too busy. You know, it's really funny because over the course of the series, through all the writers, not just the main ones, you'll see some inventive ways that compound dyes are incorporated into things. And in this one, it's not like it's lazily done, but I find it funny that it's just like bird compound eyes, but it looks good. And I love like the Tora claws on there. I'm still like, why do you need a sword if you have Wolverine claws? I bring that up all the time, even in random discussions. Someone was like, oh, what'd you think of Across the Spider-Verse? And I'm like, why does Oz need a sword? Heisei. Heisei was the first time I remember seeing a pretty big negative reaction to a new Rider suit. I mean, to be fair, literally every time a new Rider suit or a Sentai suit comes out, you get, best ever, this is the best show of all time, and I can't believe they're running out of ideas, I hate everything, I'm quitting life. That always happens, but there are a few times where it's a little bit over the top. Stuff like Tokuger, like this, like I think some X8 I saw some reactions. This is the first time I saw a big reaction. Admittedly, it's so more goofy looking that I even thought, oh, it's like a fake. And it's not my favorite, but you know what? I grew to like it more over time, and I really do appreciate it. I'm a sucker for white-based toku suits, so in general I warmed to it, and it has a bit also of a retro feel to it, despite it being so off the wall. But most of all, I think the thing that I've grown to like about it is the whole vibe of it fits perfectly with the vibe of the show. So again, not a favorite, but I got respect for it. Wizard. Wizard is one of the sexiest rider suits of all time. Also an all-time favorite. Not top 3, but probably top 5. It's just really slick. It's really elegant. It's not over-designed, and it just works really well for conveying this sort of modern magician idea. Not to mention incorporating the jewelry theme. It does it very well. It's one of my favorites for sure. Gaim. Gaim is another favorite. I'm not sure what amount of top, maybe not 5, maybe 10, I don't know. But I love the Gaim series. I like the Gaim series both for its design and story. But I think also because it's one of those proof of concepts of how unique Toku can be, where you take like Fruit Warriors. It sounds like it's going to be silly. Like, yes, there's some silly stuff in there for sure. Have you seen Bravo? But it's also one of the darker, more intense Rider shows, and the fact that they made that work, and also thematically with Helheim, the Forbidden Fruit, it all works well. And on top of that, the suit design it worked. You know, it looks just like a badass, well done samurai rider suit, but the orange theme is pretty well incorporated into it. Every time I see the Gaim suits now, though, I think back to somebody somewhere had said, it was a rumor, I don't know if it was ever confirmed, that at one point either the Gaim suits were actually going to be bird-based or have birds incorporated. I don't know how true that is, but you can kind of see that in some of them, especially like with Ryugen and a little bit with Gaim. Let me know in the comments if that's true or not. I'm just kind of curious. Drive. Drive is a mixed one. I do like Drive. I don't really hate it at all. I have a lot of appreciation for aspects. It's another one, much like Ryuki, where I like other suits in the ecosystem more, but I have appreciation for it. I appreciate the creativeness of the tire in terms of the theme and how it works for the gimmick, but for me it makes the suit a little too clunky. But I do like almost everything else about it, especially the way the helmet's designed kind of to be like a mini car with the spoiler and the way the headlights light up. Yeah, I have respect for the Drive suit. Ghost. Ghost is after Drive, right? We're gonna say it is. Ghost. All-time top 3 favorite suit. It's a shame I don't like the Ghost series more. It's one of the series I really want. There's a couple series I really want to revisit solely because I like the suit so much, hoping that I'll like it more. Not that I hate Ghost, but it just wasn't as paranormal and interesting as I thought it could be. But regardless, it has some of my favorite ecosystem of suits in concept and design, but especially this one. Again, big paranormal fan. This screams Halloween and jack-o'-lantern. Not to mention, I don't know if you noticed, but hoodies are like my favorite type of clothing, so it's like a perfect storm of suit design for me. I absolutely adore the Ghost suit. Maybe I will try to revisit it at some point. Xaid is one of the more off-the-wall ones. I would say it's even more off-the-wall than Forzay, and like I talked about, this is one of the ones I think about when people said he doesn't look like a rider. This one looks, in my opinion, at least like the core idea of what a rider is supposed to look like, which isn't a bad thing. And it is a bit off-putting, and it's yet another case of one where I prefer other suits in the overall ecosystem, but I do have a lot of appreciation for the Xaid suit as a video game fan, of them taking the concept of making like a platformer video game character into a rider. So I don't hate it at all. I like it and I have respect for it. It's just not a personal favorite. Build is interesting because it brings up a lot of comparisons to Double, both in concept and look. And I would argue, objectively, I like Doubles better, but because I like Build so much, I think I do actually like Build better. And also the concept of the rabbit tank mashup is just so Toku that I like it. And you got the Pepsi Rider stuff. It's not the most elegant one, I would say, but I don't know, I have a soft spot for it. Now, Geo. I really like the Geo suit. You know, I have very mixed feelings on Geo as a series, but I think the core base suits are very well designed. They're simple, but effective. You know, they're not too basic, and they convey the theme really well, conveying like the clock and time theme in multiple different facets, and like even the way that I guess the visors say something. I think Geats' does that even cooler because you have like the butterfly and like the butterfly effective time. Spoilers for my thoughts on Geats suit, but yeah, I really like the Geo suit a lot because it incorporates like the watch, like a watch, thing, and then also like the hands of a clock. It's just really well designed. Geo, though, I have to say just real quick, is an interesting series in the sense that it's a perfect mix of like kind of base level suits that are just really strong, and then some absolutely off the wall weird amalgam suits. 01 is that third tentpole of when we do a refresh, because Kuuga was Rider back, Double was post-decade, and 01 was the start of the Reiwa era. And this one also went back to basics, taking a look at the core idea of what a Kamen Rider suit was, but this time I felt they designed it as if it was from the future, and it was immensely successful. Another series where I'm not the biggest fan of the show, but I love so many of the suits in this series that, again, I want to revisit it, especially since I have the Blu-ray now. Hoping that I like it more, just because I really do like the ecosystem of suits in this. And 01 is a really well done suit. It really does look like the core base level idea of what a Kamen Rider is. What is a Kamen Rider? They're the defenders of Antara, idiot. Base idea of what a Kamen Rider design is, and it looks like it's from the far future. Simple, slick, and I love the kind of almost neon-y, standout, almost obnoxious color because it makes it stand out and somehow look more futuristic. I really like the Saber suit as well. It's a little bit busy, and I know some people said seeing all the original Saber suits together, they look like they could be a different Toku, and I can sort of see that. It feels a little bit busy, but it's one that I grew to like more and more, especially since I actually really like the Saber system of suits overall. There's some really good ones overall, not just Saber's forms, but other people's forms. This isn't one of my more favorites amongst that system, but I really do like the suit, and I love especially like the white-red contrast, the way that works. It looks pretty neat. You have Revice, which is a unique situation because you have two. It's kind of like this weird mirror of double. It's like instead of a 2-in-1 Kamen Rider, it's a 1-in-2 Kamen Rider, a 2-for-1 Kamen Rider. It's a sale. Anyway, I really do like Revi and Vice's designs. It's interesting in general, you know, Revice as a series has a lot of really cool designs, but a lot of them are like one click away from being something I really like, which is interesting, but I'll talk about that more when I eventually do a series review. But just talking about the base form suits, I like them a ton. Especially Revi's form, I really like the unique color scheme of the sort of light blue and pink, and the juxtaposition it has between the sort of meaner, almost evil looking T-Rex vibe. I think it's kind of cool that they made it look so mean. I think it makes it stand out and is unique, and also fits with the demon theme. And again, the sort of, you know, balance of that sort of meaner, almost evil look with the bright pink colors is just kind of cool, and I dig Revi's suit a lot. I also like Vice's suit a lot. It's got this almost adorable quality to it, also a unique quality, and it's got like kind of a T-Rex hoodie. They're both just really well designed, endearing suits that kind of, in a way, represent the vibe of the series overall, where you kind of have these darker demon mysteries, but also this silly quirk going on. Then we get to our most recent one, which is Geats, which is in my top 3 favorites. I mentioned I have top 3 favorites, which is Kiva, Ghost, and this one. I don't know what order they go in. I go back and forth. This one is just so simply done. Again, I'm a sucker for a good, like, slick white Toku suit. You know, my favorite Ranger suits being Abare Killer and most recently Spider Kimonos and stuff like that. And I think, you know, style started with stuff like MMPR White and the White Blaster Beetleborg. I think I just spit there. I hope you couldn't see that. Anyway, I really like this suit. Plus the idea of the kitsune is just really cool. It's so slick and badass looking, and I just instantly fell in love with it. It's just so well designed. I know that his like default base for like promotional purposes is basically Magnum Boost, which does flow well because the red colors complement the red lining on the suit. But I have to say, I do prefer it with just Magnum. I know it's a little bit basic on the bottom when you don't have pants on, but there's something just I like about the elegance and simplicity of that. But that is my thoughts on all of the main rider suits from the Hesei and Reiwa eras. Let me know if you'd like to see more of these covering stuff like the Showa era or the various forms such as, you know, super forms, your main forms. We did main forms. Let them explain school. Super forms, you know, upgrade forms, secondary riders, third dairy riders, dairy riders from it, all that type of stuff. Favorite types of dairy, just let me know in the comments as always. But until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.